and you can really smell the sulphur.
So, in terms of this area being lived in, everyone that resides here descends from this ancestor wāhia, including myself. So when I speak of or refer to my uncles, aunties, cousins, nephews, nieces, I'm literally referring to all my blood relatives that reside here in the village. You see, in my culture, like many other indigenous cultures around the world, my ancestors believed it was very important I should know who I am, in terms of my extended family and also beyond this, but also from where I derive. And also because in my culture, houses and land are not seen as commodity, so it's left to the next generation and generations that come. Good deal. Okay. Okay, folks, so east is a mountain called Tarawera. In the 1800s, Tarawera was very famous for a geothermal waterfall coming out of that mountain, cascading down terraces. On one side of these terraces was very white, on the opposite side very pink, and that was because of the minerals contained in the water that would make the landscape look like so. Now the sheer size and magnitude of these terraces noted it to be the eighth wonder of the world, and visitors would visit these terraces because of the medicinal properties said to be held in the water. If you'd all like to turn around, folks, and face the profiles across the road there, I'm just going to stand in front of the manawa, or the heart of the house. And all the decorations, carvings, paintings you view here tells our people's history, tells stories of our people, and it also speaks of genealogy. So when you walk into our ancestral meeting house, you're actually walking into the bosom of our ancestor. All the little men and women you see lining our streets here, they're all guardians and they're there to protect you. You see, my people believed the bulging eyes and the protruding tongue would scare away the evil spirits so that they couldn't touch or harm you. The facial expression was also used in battle. The bulging eyes is what our people call pūkana, the protruding tongue, whētero, and added with the flexed muscles and all the guttural sounds coming from within was all used as an act of defiance. So when confronting the enemy would hopefully take fright, turn around, run away, and no battle would take place. Now it could also mean you might end up in my stomach, because our people were literal cannibals in days of old. Parts of the flesh that could be seen devouring out on the battlefield could be the brains, because my people believed you now possessed that person's essence, their power, their prestige. But it basically depended on how bad the revenge was in terms of how much you were going to eat. And you'll also be happy to know times have changed. But at over 100 degrees Celsius and very much like quicksand, it could be a very slow, horrible death if you weren't careful. So our people would be led down carefully, they'd scoop it up carefully, they'd then be brought back to safety. When that mud cooled, they'd place it over those areas that needed healing. And I'll remind you once again about our biggest mud pool at the end of the tour. When you've finished viewing the mud, make your way down to tracks, which will lead you to Freedom Tracks, situated at the back of our village. There are lots of interesting pools at the back there, folks, and you won't get lost. You'll either end up on this side of the village or on the opposite side. It goes through an overflow opposite us, it goes through a channel to the right, it goes in an area to the right, it goes in away from the area. Now I noticed some of you might sound...
You the corn cooker.
I am.
You had a good practice?
Had a lot of practice over my years. It's not that hard, just putting corn into a cloth and throwing it in.
It's all done for you.
That's it.
Now my ancestors believed there were the pools that they made from the deep and they connected into one hot This hut here is what is known as pātaka. Pātaka basically translates to traditional Maori food storage. In days of old was this high off the ground, and it was to stop rodents and other pests from getting to the food. As you can see, we've got a different variety of vegetables, herbs and spices growing here, but traditionally gardens of this kind were never built up in these areas. It was impossible, and that's because of the geothermal heat underneath us. That's why you've got these more modern vegetable beds which are raised, and the reason you see the holes there on the right to vent the heat. Traditionally, gardens of this kind would be built 6 or 7k out of the actual village areas in geothermal free zones, a lot larger in size than the actual villages themselves. Families and expertise when it came to gardening would live and maintain these gardens. Families within the village would come and go every time they needed to replenish food. And I'm hearing that there is talk about reviving these gardens again because of the rising cost of food and also because of the amounts of poisons that they place in the foods themselves. I don't know whether all of your visitors are aware. You've heard about
degrees.
So this here is a process from beginning to end. And in order to make this skirt, I need this plant here, the harakeke or the flax plant. I also need a pattern board. This is the pattern I'll be using. It can be any pattern, your tribal pattern, your family pattern, whatever you desire. I will use this basic one. 200 years ago it was all up here. This here is the traditional implement that was used, the kukushia. You might be more familiar with the muscle shell. This one's a bit broken, but this area here was used to cut the stem. This area here. This area here was used to, also this area here was used to score an actual pattern into the blades. And this area here was used to scrape the fibre out, which you see me doing through the process. Okay? Otherwise I'm going to get help from the standing knife. Okay, so to begin with, what I'm going to do with my blade of flax here is I'm going to strip away the front and the back. I'm going to strip it right away. And it's just so I'm left with 2 even blades, just like so. With my scissors here, I'm going to cut this hard end off. And that's why I'm cutting it off. It's too hard, I can't use it when making the skirt. So our 2 blades of flax have a shiny and a dull side. What I'm going to do is lay these dull side up onto my pattern board. With my Stanley knife, I'm going to score an actual pattern into my blades of flax. Now I'm not cutting these blades of flax in half, folks. All I'm doing is carefully scoring a pattern into them. And for myself, this process I've just taken you through, I now need to go through another 141 blades. Because that's how many blades it will take me to make me my own basic skirt. Now 141 isn't one size fits all, by the way. Everyone is different. And you can see the pattern coming out the shiny side. Now I'm going to stand up here so everyone can see. Here comes the magic, everyone. Okay, on the shiny side where the patterns come through, I'm going to place my traditional implement. I'm going to push back the chlorophyll, which is going to reveal the fibre underneath. Okay, I'm going to slide my muscle shell down this blade of flax. What that's going to do is make it easier for me to separate the chlorophyll from the fibre. Now, as you can see there, the fibre has a waxy film on it, which I now need to scrape off. And there is that beautiful luscious fibre I was just talking to you about. Okay, now I'm going to go through the same process but with my pattern. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it over and get rid of those chlorophyll bits I don't need. Do you have it? Pattern's already starting to form. Okay everyone, so I've got processes here which have already been finished. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand these processes out. What it's going to do is give you an idea of how strong but also how soft that fibre is. And when you're finished, you're going to hand it to the person next to you, so on and so on.
Two together. Two everything together.
Okay, while you guys are sorting that out, I'm going to carry on with my second blade flex. Okay, so the flex here was not just used for making these types of garments, it was also used for making bags. As far as I know, we really only had two basic bags. That was for shellfish and that was for vegetables. We had these little the only thing that I could kind of liken it to is a belt with little pockets in it which would hold tools in it, which were made from the park.
Once again, to our living village of I'm your hostess and narrator for this afternoon, and my name is Haruka. Kia ora. Kia ora. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, firstly you will hear the sounding of the conch shell, the putatara. Now in days of old, this was lowered to Lepanga Whenua, the people of the land that visitors had arrived. Remember, this is a shortened version of our wero. Now the wero is a challenge to you, the visitor, to see whether you have come in peace or otherwise. In days of old, upcoming tribes were not always there for peaceful reasons. Sometimes they would fight for land, or they would fight for resources on the land, such as vegetation. And in extreme cases, they would even fight for the women who carried on fugitive arrangements. And that is why the wero would take place to ascertain to see whether the visiting tribe had arrived in peace. You'll then hear the karanga or wailing cry of welcome, given by one of the women welcoming you onto their home ground. A whakarewarewa or speech of welcome will then be issued by our instructor, our chief, and he's welcoming the occasion. To complement that, we will sing a pakere, which is an ancient chant. Now this is how we, the Maori people, used to sing in days of old, in chant form. You'll also see this action here, the wiri, performed by both the men and the women, which like different triangles. Cupping your hand and then giving it a slight shake in the wrist, and repeating after me, wiri. This action here simply represents violence, thus bringing life to the words of the sea. Another way is with this implement here, the poi, a ball on the end of a piece of twine, which we twirl and meet against the back and palm of the hand to denote sound, rhythm and movement. Now in days of old, the men were the first exponents of the poi, and they would utilise it to give flexibility and suppleness to the wrist in order to use a small handheld weapons that they would use in close hand-to-hand combat. However, that is not necessary these days. The ladies have continued the art form, and I must say we add a lot more style. We'll also feature for you stick dancing, the tiako, the lock stick. Here it is manoeuvred from side to side, up and around the body, once again to give flexibility to the wrists and also to strengthen the upper torso. This is then highlighted by our favourite pastime game. Lots of fun is had by this game, the Tiki-Tori, the short stick game. Now the object is to pass the stick from plates to those two words I did say earlier, which are kia ora. Would you like to try saying that? Kia ora.
Kia ora.
You said hello, good afternoon, thank you, take care, goodbye. It literally means to be healthy and to be well, but we use it for those other states as well. Two versatile words we use throughout New Zealand. So while on your travels, if you bump into any locals, say to them kia ora, and you're bound to get a friendly response. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to get started now.
Whakarewarewa.
our people in days of old prior to going into battle. The idea of the haka was to sight the individual warrior up spiritually, physically and emotionally for the onslaught ahead. The large bulging of the eyes, the protrusion of the tongue, forms of intimidation to scare off the enemy before they fight against.